Subscribe now. EU Debates.
Today, with the European Investment Bank, we celebrate the signature of the guarantee agreement of more than 26 billion euros. And just to give you a rough idea about the amount, this is almost 1/3 of the entire GDP of the entire Western Balkans. So this signing ceremony of the guarantee agreement will bring significant investments in many regions of the world, especially in the enlargement and neighborhood countries between 2021 and 2028. It will leverage the EIBs and other financial partners, resulting in higher investment values never seen before. This agreement, we think, will provide a major part of our economic and investment plans as the main financing source, be it the Western Balkans, Southern partners, or the Eastern partners of ours. Because these ambitious investment plans, which are built around flagship projects that are to address the key bottlenecks in front of growth and jobs in these regions, will directly and at a larger scale improve the daily lives of the people living in these regions. And they will help these regions with post-COVID recovery as well, and it will help them to deliver on initiatives that we have designed together with them, be it connectivity, railways, highways, energy or broadband, or ports, water and sanitation infrastructure supporting the green and digital transition. Let me give you just a few examples from my regions about the projects that are starting as we speak. For example, we have planning to rehabilitate, modernize and construct the road sections in Moldova, which are part of the wider Trans-European network, connecting capitals through a web of road networks. We're also planning to construct roads, modernize a tram line in Sarajevo. We are planning to modernize water management infrastructure in North Macedonia, covering 80 municipalities. And through this project alone, we will have a major impact in the local public health situation and the environment in North Macedonia. And just to mention one example from the south, we have a project coming up in Egypt, where we are planning to expand and upgrade the Helwan wastewater treatment plant in Greater Cairo. And needless to say, in a metropolis like Cairo, this is a fundamental issue to address. Our list is not ending here, as we will have more projects coming up, of course, notably in the areas of energy efficiency and renewable energy. And of course, energy is the key topic, not only in Europe these days, but also in the regions surrounding us. So we will try to be relevant with our investments in that regard as well. Ladies and gentlemen, these investments are impatiently awaited by our partners, not only to speed up the much-needed socio-economic transformation, but maybe even more importantly, to support them in their most difficult times. Times of COVID and post-COVID pandemic, war, which should end soon, and of course the post-war recovery. It has been more than 2 months since Russia's unjustified military aggression and war against Ukraine. Many human lives have already been lost. Millions had to move and have been forced to leave their homes, and the damage to the country's infrastructure and population is already enormous. In the coming days, the College will adopt a communication on rebuilding Ukraine, and the EU's partnership with the EIB will be a paramount support to the Ukrainian people and the reconstruction of their country. And we think that Without the EIB, it will be almost impossible to provide the support Ukraine will need. So to sum it up, this agreement represents a key vehicle to leverage significant funds to bring jobs and growth to the neighborhood and the enlargement regions, to support the transition and connecting them with one another and with the EU. With this agreement, we can move faster and be more effective with the implementation of the 3 economic and investment plans, which we created together with our partner countries. And of course, today's signature is only the first step in this road, and I hope that the next steps are going to come very, very fast, because in the next 7 years, we need to deliver much faster than ever before, because the challenges are fastly accelerating around us and also in our continent. So let me thank again President Hoyer for the excellent partnership that we have with the bank, and I do hope that together we can switch to an even higher gear. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Lang, the floor is yours.
Dear Werner, dear Oliver, ladies and gentlemen, the signature of today's guarantee agreement is a milestone in the EU's strategic partnership with the EIB. We have a long-standing relationship. Going forward, we will build on this and take our partnership to new heights. EIB is our key ally and partner in the rollout of our global gateway strategy. 3 brief points here. Firstly, today's signature comes in the midst of complex times and geopolitical turmoil. Our world is struggling with challenges like the green and digital transition and the need to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. Different crises, like the pandemic and now Russia's unjustified war of aggression against Ukraine, have added to these challenges. And this is why our partnership with the EIB is critical. We will provide a total of 26.7 billion euros guarantee to cover EIB investments in sectors like clean energy, green infrastructure and health through the European Fund for Sustainable Development Plus. This will contribute to the delivery of investments announced under Global Gateway worldwide. And we are not turning our backs on the rest of the world. We are reaching out. We will connect Europe and partners across the globe. Global Gateway fosters the twin transition with sustainable, high-standard investments in a respectful partnership. And actually, this brings me to my second point. The EIB will provide loans with favorable terms thanks to the EU guarantee. You will lead by example in implementing policy first. Your proposals for investment will contribute to strategic priorities as jointly agreed with member states and our partner countries. Together, we want to be a partner of reference. Third and final point. Efforts to improve the European financial architecture for development aim to make it more impactful, policy-driven, efficient and inclusive. We need to be seen as whole of Europe. You are our main implementing partner. We count on the EIB for impact and visibility and coordination, building on cooperation with other development finance institutions in a real Team Europe approach. So in conclusion, today is the beginning of an exciting new chapter in our strategic partnership with the EIB. And I really look forward to working with Werner and his team over the coming years.
Many thanks. President Hoyer, you have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Jutta, Oliver. And let me first say thank you very much to all those who have contributed to this great success. The cooperation over the last couple of years, last 2 years in particular, could not have been better and more successful. And I'd like to include in my thanks all those in the two institutions, the European Commission and the EIB, who have done that part of it. And I see, for instance, Vice President Oliver Varkhey, who is our development pope in the management committee of the bank, who has put his print on this agreement. And some of the people from the services are here today and celebrate with us. Others cannot be here, and they should be included in our thanks. For decades, the European Investment Bank has worked closely with the Commission to ensure that all our external lending supports EU policies and priorities and imparts EU values and standards to our global partners. However, the bank's activity outside the EU has sometimes been perceived as something separate from other EU support. In support of EU policy? Yes. Guaranteed by the EU budget, often, most notably under our previous external lending mandate, but not necessarily seen, or more importantly, fully utilized as an integral tool for EU foreign policy. This is why the agreement today and the policy-first approach adopted under the European Fund for Sustainable Development, EFSD+, is so relevant. EFSD+ will serve as a tool, not only guaranteeing EIB loans, allowing the EU to finance essential public sector investments where otherwise it would be difficult, but also to fully embed EIB's lending in the EU's wider foreign policy efforts. This will enhance the Union's overall ability to provide a substantive EU offer to our partners and support a green, digital, just, and resilient global recovery in the form of both grants and loans through both finance and expertise. The establishment of EIB Global, whose boss is here, Markus Berndt, and who will be available for questions as well. Our new arm for international partnerships and development finance aims to further enhance impact and visibility of EU investments worldwide. We are placing more bankers, engineers, and economists on the ground working within EU delegations as an integral part of the EU delegations. We are working hard hand in hand with the European Commission in the delivery of key EU global and regional policies. Policies such as Global Gateway, where EIB is well placed to be a key partner with expertise in sectors such as energy, transport, digitalization, and health. It's needless to say that this is more important than ever in the current geopolitical context, and this importance, I'm afraid, will grow. We stand ready to help Ukraine rebuild after the war as it moves towards EU membership and to invest in other countries of the neighborhood and enlargement regions through the EU's economic investment plans. As a matter of fact, we have been in Ukraine for a long time. And that was strengthened by the fact that after 2014, after the annexation of Crimea, we moved out of Russia. And that gave us certain flexibility also to go more to the neighboring countries, Ukraine in particular. And then when the war began, within a week, we were able to mobilize the first 668 million euros for immediate support for the Ukrainian government in order to provide the necessary means to help the people. And this was extremely fast and effective, and the money was arriving at the destinations within a few days. We have set up another program that could be put into place very, very quickly for the immediate rehabilitation of infrastructure in particular. That is already going on. Let's not fool ourselves. What is happening in the Ukraine right now is already the rebuilding, wherever they can. Wherever they have liberated their part of the country. And we need to support this. And in addition to that, we have pledged to make available another 4 billion euros within 2 years for the immediate neighborhood countries, which have taken such a big burden of the refugee flows right now. In Africa, we are committed to investing in support of the EU-Africa partnership. And as the EU's climate bank, we will continue to work in regions across the globe in the fight against climate change. There is no justification for hiding behind the virus or behind Ukraine when it comes to the pursuit of our climate objectives. The global challenges we face are immense and require unprecedented levels of investments across the world. This was true before the global pandemic and becomes even more the case as the war rages on in Ukraine. EIB Global has embraced Team Europe. We are involved in the majority of the initiatives so far, and we will continue to cooperate closely with our friends and partners, with our other partner FIs, including through EFSD+, and to catalyze much-needed private sector investment. With today's signature, the EU now has an essential tool in place to help our partner countries address the challenges they face and to establish stronger partnerships. Let's work together and let's ensure that we use it well. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Many thanks to all. So we have time for a few questions. We have both colleagues online and here. We'll give first the floor to the colleagues that made the effort to come over here. So maybe Vince, if you can present yourself and the media that you work for, and please specify to whom you're addressing the question to. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Vince Chadwick from DevEx. You all again. So I have some yes/no questions, so I hope we're brief. Commissioner Varkhey, you mentioned that the EIB's work is essential, impossible without the EIB. Obviously, for the EIB, it's essential to have a mandate to operate in their country's operation, including through the Cotonou Agreement. It's currently blocked by Hungary. Will the Commission renew the Cotonou Agreement again if it continues to be blocked up until the end of June and the French presidency avoiding the EIB going into a kind of legal lacuna? Commissioner Erpelainen, we've heard a lot about Team Europe. Of course, another pillar of Team Europe is EBRD, and one of the pillars of EBRD, or a member of EBRD, is Russia. And there is provision in the articles of EBRD to kick out members of the bank. Do you support the idea that Russia should be removed from EBRD? Because even though you've given us examples of Team Europe investment projects here, the detail on those would be Moscow rather than us here. And said a few that you don't see going to sub-Saharan Africa.
Right. I don't think that these are questions that are strictly related to the topic at hand. I don't know if we still want to address this. Otherwise, on the post-Cotonou, Vince, you know very well that this is something that's now in the Council. We have presented our proposals for the signature and provisional application of the agreement, so it's now with the Council. I would invite you to address the questions there. You know that the agreement has already been extended until June, until the end of June, so this is where we are here. In terms of the EBRD, I think this is a broader discussion for the shareholders. Not necessarily for here, but yeah, I don't know.
I have 15 other questions on the gateway, but I've also waited 3 years to hear from the people in funders, so maybe...
Okay, so maybe we would like to ask a question that's more related to the topic at hand that we were here presenting. Then I'm sure that our principals will be happy to answer.
First of all, I'd like to give the principals a chance to respond to my initial questions in this free, open, transparent, democratic society that the Global Gateway is championing.
Maybe if I'm able to reply to the question Vince raised regarding the EBRD, and I think it's exactly how Anna was explaining the situation, that I think it's really, whether Russia should be removed from the EBRD is the discussion which has to be held among the shareholders. So I think it's not my position to give any advice on that. I think my prediction is that there will be this kind of discussion. But what will be the outcome of it? Let's see, and that's of course something which has to be taken by the shareholders.
Okay. Do we have any other questions in the room? Oh, sorry. Apologies.
Yeah, I don't want to shy away from the question. I mean, this is crystal clear. We cooperate extremely closely with EBRD, which makes sense because we are shareholders of EBRD. And beyond that, I'm happy to be among those who were immediately present when EBRD was put on track, beginning of the 90s, in my former capacity. And I would say the idea to establish EBRD was and is great. And it is the necessity to transform Soviet economies into Western market economies within a relatively short period of time. And that job was done very, very well. And I'm afraid it's not over. The situation right now in Ukraine and the neighboring countries shows that the existence of EBRD is, as before, totally justified and necessary. And I would just encourage our people there to see this great challenge coming up and getting stronger and stronger and bigger. This is the point. On Sub-Saharan Africa, this is a different story. We will be very constructive on this in the board of EBRD, that's clear. But the priority for EBRD, in my view, should be the situation in Central and Eastern Europe and in Central Asia.
Okay, Jorge Valero from Bloomberg. Sorry.
Look, I have the commissioner standing next to me who is responsible for the post-Cotonou. So it would be quite unpolite for me to respond. But if you have a question to one of the member states, then maybe you should put your question there.
Very good. Jorge Valero from Bloomberg.
Can you hear me? Yes, Jorge Valero with Bloomberg. I have a question on Ukraine, which was addressed today. First, on the short-term needs of the country, these 50 billion euros that the country urgently needs for Commissioner Varkhey, what options are on the table to cover these needs? How urgently could be deployed? Whether you think that guarantees for member states are needed to, let's say, back these funds for these urgent needs. And on the long-term needs, the reconstruction effort, do you think that next generation EU, new generation EU, it's a feasible option? Will it be this one of the options included in the communication on the 18th of May? And for President Hoyer, how the EIB could contribute to these short-term needs? How big could be the effort to contribute to this 15 billion euros? For the long-term effort, given how massive the volume of the reconstruction will be, whether you think that additional guarantees from member states are needed to increase the firepower of the EIB? Thank you.
First, on Ukraine, we are currently working on the proposal, so it would be premature to tell you how it will look like. We're also working with the member states. What I can tell you at this stage is that we are considering all options because we think that need is there. We think that help is only relevant when it comes at the right moment. And this is why we have mobilized already over €500 million in immediate support. And we have mobilized an additional €1.2 billion of macrofinancial assistance, the second tranche of which we will be paying out very, very soon. But I don't want to prejudge just yet before we had a full discussion at the college about the proposal. But as I said, we're considering all options.
I don't see any questions on Interactio. President, sorry, I don't have the angle.
Yeah, I don't want to shy away from that question either. I mean, to be quite honest, we are very active in Ukraine. We can do more. We make proposals what to do more. We have pretty strong analysis, and sometimes you wonder what is not being observed. I mean, look at Ukraine is a rich country. Ukraine is the wheat basket of Europe, and it's sitting on 8 billion euros worth of wheat right now from last year's harvest. They cannot export it. They have no access to the sea. This is one of the key issues that we must address because they are industrious people. They are sowing like crazy right now, and they will expect probably a good harvest, maybe 70% of last year's harvest in a couple of months, and then what to do with it. So these are issues that need to be addressed immediately, in addition to the social needs and the daily problems that Ukrainian citizens face. But then let's assume one day this terrible war is over. And we have the opportunity, and not just the obligation, the opportunity to rebuild Ukraine. It will be built to a very, very modern country. Digitalization is not a word they don't know there, for instance. They're in some areas better than we are. So this is going to be a huge challenge, and nobody can tell me what volumes we are talking about. I'm pretty sure we're talking not about billions, but about trillions when it comes to the full reconstruction of Ukraine. And this is a challenge for the entire world community, in particular those who say they belong to what we call the West, which is not a geographical concept, but the idea of the community of rule of law-based, enlightenment-based, human rights respecting democracies in this world. We all have to do this together. And this is going to be a global effort. Whether you make something like a Marshall Plan out of it or something similar, we will see. But we are ready to take our part. And in this context, we will continue our fantastic cooperation with Commission, Council, and Parliament. And we're also going to be ready to talk to our shareholders, which are the 27 member states of the European Union, to maybe set up a fund of themselves and mandate us to deal with it. We have experience. Something like this can be done very, very quickly, as we have done in the context of COVID. So let's see, and let the challenge come up. I hope it will come up soon, because the condition is then that the war is over.
So many thanks to everyone for having participated with us today in this important day.